Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K, streaming live, Facebook, Periscope.com. She is the Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy, TV correspondent for CW6 News San Diego, as well as One America News Network. And her website is The KD Report. Hey, Kimberly, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself, Chuck?
I am okay. I announced that I'm having little problems, spinning my Wi-Fi or whatever the heck it is. So I cannot see your lovely face today, and it's just going to bring me down like you wouldn't believe.
Well, there's always the opportunity. You can always watch the rebroadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So there you go. You can always watch it and listen to yourself again.
Also, I think it's on the kdreport.com
yep.
a little bit later on.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
I got to tell you something, listeners. This should be the lead story on every television and radio station in the United States. You worry about these clowns out there rioting, supposedly telling you they're protesting. And, they're doing it with their bricks, right? And they're doing it with their frozen water and stuff like that. Guess what? They are stepping up like you wouldn't believe. Kimberly has got this story, and I'm telling you, I hadn't heard about this, Kimberly, and it originally came from Natural News. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. And the Wall Street Journal is also reporting this as well. Starting.
So if you think you're going to be safe and absorb and practice the Second Amendment, listener, as a good American, it may not be enough, since the Second Amendment sort of has you limited to what kind of guns you can have. And Kimberly, I'm going to let you run with this for a while because this is scary and disturbing.
Yeah, well, we can all, when you look at arms trafficking in the United States, I think the typical person or listener here, they'd go to the Iran-Contra event where, the U.S. military was funneling weapons to the Communist Party then in power in Nicaragua, or Fast and Furious under Barack Obama, who was president, and these weapons were going south of the border that they were purchasing and allowing to go south of the border so they could hopefully trace them, and then they could find where the cartel leaders were, presumably. Of course, that all fell apart. There's no way to trace these weapons, and we know that these weapons will be used in crime scenes for at least another 50 years. Fast forward to today, we're actually starting to get more and more reporting out from the Customs and Border Protection. These are the people at HSI, who the media continues to call secret police, at these events, these protest riots, looting, whatever you want to call them. They have found caches all over the country of weapons and parts that make firearms here that are semi-automatic, automatic. They're purchasing silencers, and instead of saying that these are firearms, they're purchasing all of this from China, and now they say, oh, it's coming in as an auto parts. They're trying to tag things purposely so CBP does not go out and go through their box and look to see what's really inside. The numbers are staggering here. We're looking at in Kentucky 11,000 assault weapons parts were found. And then you look at the more than 10,000 AR-15s and parts in Florida. There's
Melbourne.
Yeah, in Melbourne, Florida. So we're.
Yeah, let me ask you something. So,
sure.
Are both of these shipments that you mentioned, I think they are, unless I read this wrong, coming from the same location in China?
Yes.
Xinjiang,
Yep.
S-H-E-N,
Yes.
D-H-E-N. Sounds
Yep.
like somebody sneezed.
Yeah. Bless you.
They should just look. Here's another big package from Xinjiang.
Yep.
And let's check this out.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And this is probably why the CBP has found these, and they found the second and third large cache here. A lot of the reporting saying this is going directly to Black Lives Matter and Antifa. I've reached out to certain, people in law enforcement to confirm this. Even the Wall Street Journal is also reporting that this is going to those groups. It seems like that would be a logical place for them to go, but again, you don't see any confirmation from CBP saying, yeah, we know, we followed the shipment, and it's for sure going to those groups. But they have. It's a very strong feeling. Let's put it that way, that this is where they're going. The only other people in the country that would presumably be after something like this would be the drug cartels and the gangs. So in any event, it's illegal, it's wrong, and you're putting guns and now military, type weapons in the hands of regular people who really want to commit crime and presumably really disrupt what's going on with this election process, because the Democrats are struggling to find their message, bring their party together. They've tried everything. These riots and looting, for the most part, have really stuck in Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York City. I mean, babies continue to be killed. Young children continue to be killed in the inner cities. And it just, when you look at the violence, the Democrats are banking that you're going to see this is so outrageous, you're not going to want to vote for President Trump because it's happening on their side. And President Trump is having the opposite, saying, look, the Democrats are creating this because they can't beat me. So in any event, people are dying. Babies are dying from gunshot wounds. And these big cities really just don't even want to work with the federal government to get this situation under control. Fortunately, CBP has grabbed this stuff, but with the trafficking of drugs into this country, they only get like 5 or 10% of what really comes into the country. So how many firearm shipments are they missing? I mean, surely the numbers are higher than what we have here, and I think it should alarm regular Americans, like you said at the outset, who are going to these rallies thinking they're peaceful protests for Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, but they could end up in the middle of a shootout and end up dead.
And it's interesting, too, that the weapons are landing on the East Coast. For some reason, it's like, well, they're not going to Sacramento or they're not going to Seattle. Like Seattle would be obvious. Of course, they can't ship them out. They're not going to be able to. Amazon's leaving Seattle, apparently, so
there you go.
Interfere. But when you talk about sneaking them across, you and I have discussed about how China has their connection in Mexico. We've done it for a long time, and I think a lot of people are just saying they're ignoring what's going across the border because, the wall's there, and they don't realize how much weapons and drugs are coming across, and mostly, Kimberly, they don't realize the human trafficking that's coming across.
Yeah, where are these people from?
Easier to spot than a gun.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, where are these people from? And the numbers are increasing from China. We're seeing a lot more people cross illegally into the country from China. What are their intentions once they get here?
Well, and you've got these guilt companies, I guess that would be my word, that say, well, we've got to contribute to Black Lives Matter because, we just feel like, maybe you're not going to burn down our store or we're all for what you're doing, or whatever. Yeah. But they don't realize, if you look at the manifesto for Black Lives Matter, pretty scary, very scary indeed.
Yeah, and yet they're not labeled any kind of terrorist organization. They've received no sanctions from the SPCLA, the hate group, that Southern Poverty Law Center. You're not seeing these, groups. Maybe okay, this started with good intentions, but when you start moving to coordinated attacks in the middle of the night and looting and stealing and bashing up police cars and trying to burn down police stations, that crosses over to domestic terrorism, and we're not seeing any of those charges leveled at these groups. Yet you'll see Tea Party people that peacefully go out, they make their sign, they go to an event, they pick up all the trash that is on scene, and they leave it cleaner than when they found it. These people are on the hit list for, being, extreme right individuals and or groups that are a threat to the United States. So when you compare the two, you would think that the other side would actually be on here, just, at least to say, we acknowledge, this, and maybe it's not the entire group, maybe it's a handful of individuals, but we're not seeing any of that. And is it a play to where all these weapons are going to be out and we're going to see another Las Vegas style shooting where, automatic weapons were used? It killed a whole bunch of people. It was a terrible, terrible story. Are they going to do that so they can stir up, the votes to, try to rescind the Second Amendment, essentially?
I don't think it's going to be that type of lone shooter. I think it's going to be 10 or 15 or 20.
Yeah, exactly, making it 10 or 15 or 20% worse. So, yeah.
If you don't like things, that are going on in the government, that's one reason the Tea Party, was formed. The Tea Party. So let's see. I can't remember. I think it was a girl named Betty was one of the biggest. I can't remember her last name. Mm-hmm. But anyway, just look at Black Lives Matter. See, that was founded by this sweet little girl named Susan, right? Tell them about her. I think you have something on her.
No,
Susan
I don't.
Rosenberg.
Yeah, I am trying.
Convicted terrorist.
Yeah.
She's a convicted terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you something that's not in your latest report.
Yeah.
But the lady, whenever she got convicted, she had a car full of explosives, getting ready to blow up some government building or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got so many years in prison, but along came Hillary Clinton's husband, who gave her a pardon the day before he left office.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice?
He founded, in part, Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely. And then, the stumbling on the female here, but I'm looking at the article here on the rally that was organized by the Proud Boys in Kalamazoo, and how the state legislators really were out in front of this group, and the violence escalated with the Black Lives Matter against the Proud Boys on one side and the other, and you saw the escalation on TV screens last week, the end of last week and over the weekend. And the people that got brandished the hardest by the media were the Proud Boys. They got all that. They were just lamented, but on the other side it was like, well, those guys on that side, they were peaceful, but the ones that came to the rally with weapons were the BLM and Antifa people. So, it's just we're not getting the full story from the media. It's very difficult to get the story out if you're the mainstream media, because they just don't. They have editors, and they've got directors, and they've got station managers who are suppressing to for these reporters to cover these stories. So
seriously, I really believe, Kimberly, that every single morning the mainstream media gets their talking points.
Yeah.
I don't know if it comes from Nancy Pelosi or Adam Schiff. They probably don't get it from Adam Schiff because it'd be too obvious, how fake it was.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
On the Proud Boys in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
You say that they only have hatred for Jewish people and Muslim people. You would think they would pick one or the other,
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, this is the mentality of the people that we're having to deal with this. And I think it highlights that where things can escalate when you start inserting people who are angry about what's going on in this country, or angry about what's going on the TV screen, are angry about the COVID virus that continues to completely drain the economy of the life that it needs. And these people ordinarily would presumably be working rather than going out and protesting. But I just you have to wonder where these weapons are going, and you have to ask the questions where these weapons are going, especially when we see 24 shot and a baby killed in New York City this weekend. When you have more than 20 people killed in Chicago just over the weekend, these numbers are increasing to the number. We're getting closer to what is happening in Mexico with the cartels. and the daily violence and the number of people that are killed on a daily basis. Obviously, it's a lot higher than just one of these places, but you combine them all, and now we're getting closer to what we see in Tijuana, for example, where their death rate per day goes anywhere from 28 to 32 per day that are killed. So when you're looking at these numbers, putting them together, you have to wonder who's actually perpetrating these crimes, and also on top of that, why are they perpetrating these crimes? Are they looking to, try to get firearms banned in the United States? Is that where this is headed? Or is this just really just a spiteful, few people that are intent on, stealing what isn't theirs?
You know the old saying, fight fire with fire?
Yeah.
And whenever you said, are they trying to get guns, banned?
Yeah.
And you would see, they're making it very obvious you don't want bad people with guns.
Yeah.
Like they say, the old saying, when you outlaw guns, only the outlaws will have guns.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Isn't that clever? We got to take a break, Kimberly, and then we'll be right back. More from Kimberly Dvorak. Remember, it's 3kdreport.com, and she streams live on Facebook. And about the Proud Boys, you mentioned, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
List them as a hate group. And I'm going to tell you something. There are so many conservative groups on the Southern Poverty Law Center's list. It kind of makes you wonder if they're not camouflaging them,
Yeah. Well,
it surprised me that they're on there.
Yeah, and they pick up big donations from celebrities in Hollywood, and a lot of big fundraisers for the Democrat Party. They get a lot of money from the left. There's no doubt about it. I don't know. I would imagine that the funds they get from the right would be rather slim, since most of the organizations on there, as you say, are conservative organizations. And it just, it's pretty shocking to actually, see what's going on here and actually know that something is coming here. Like on September 17th, last week we did the story on the siege against the White House. Is this part of that siege? Are they going to have enough firepower to, engage with the Secret Service that protects the president, the White House, and everybody that works inside? Or, are innocent bystanders going to be taken out on Pennsylvania Avenue because it's closed to cars, and it's going to be much easier for people to get in, walk into the area and stand in front of the White House? Are we going to see scenes like that? We just don't know. But you can better believe it, if these weapons were destined to the Tea Party people or the Proud Boys, that this would be national news every single day. This would be the lead story. And because it's going presumably to the left, then there's no coverage whatsoever on this. So, you have to really wonder, again, who is behind this and why they want to do this. And you have to, it's coming from China. COVID came from China. Fentanyl comes from China. So it looks like China is a pretty big offender here. And what are we doing to prevent this stuff from coming into our country when the majority of it is coming from China? They should at the very least have extra, scrutiny when those packages come through CBP. Every single package needs to have extra scrutiny.
I'll tell you something that I got today. Something I got today on my email from a reliable source is another dog food warning. Okay, where dogs are getting poisoned, and once again, it's dog food that is made in China.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it on purpose. I have no idea.
I have no idea if the dog food thing's on purpose, but we know when we're seeing firearms and silencers and suppressors and automatic stuff coming from China, there's no question where it's coming from. It's coming from China, and it has ill intent.
Zendine, Satnzatn.
Yeah.
All right. Can I buy another E? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So anyway, so the storming of the White House is going to be in September, right? 17th.
Yep, September 17th. So, we'll be watching out for that.
We are talking about. We're giving you the information, listener, that is when day one will be, and it'll be, see, whenever I put it on my blog, I didn't give the month, so I'm still safe.
Yep, there you go. You're safe. They
Kimberly,
won't show up in front of your house. Yay.
all right. Hey, good putting on the golf course, all right? Don't get too hot out there.
All righty, Chuck.
I'll be checking your scores, all right?
Okay.
Kimberly
Thank you.
Dvorak, and it's dkdreport.com, and she's the Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign